everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. Today is the 6th of December, 2023, and this is Gianni DePoci, your host. It is Wednesday, so it's time to review what's been going on geocosmically as well as in the market. So let me go ahead and jump over to my chart of the Dow Jones. We can start off by looking at this index, which just rallied today to a new high for 2023. Now, this is undoubtedly bullish price action on a technical basis. However, today we have Neptune turning retrograde, and Neptune is a planet of can be a planet of paranoia, can be a planet of irrational exuberance, and it also happens to be one of the most powerful signatures with respect to its planetary directional changes in terms of triggering reversals in markets within an orb of a certain amount of days. So we are in a reversal period right now, and the Dow, despite making a new high for 2023, is fading off of those highs. So time will tell as to whether this is an important temporary top. But overall, I think the bull market remains pretty healthy, especially as we head into 2024. There are some additional bullish seasonal factors right now. You know, like we said last week, we still are in Sagittarius season. So you got to keep that in mind that, spirits tend to be a little bit elevated at this point. But, we started off this week. I'm going to jump over to the NASDAQ here. We started off this week with a square between Venus and Pluto on the 3rd, and then Venus ingressed into Scorpio. And then yesterday on the 5th, we had Venus form a trine to Saturn. The NASDAQ continues to consolidate near its highs of the move here. NASDAQ futures had made a new high for the year, but the NASDAQ cash index, which is what we're looking at now, still has not. Now, looking into the back half of this week, we have Venus set to oppose Jupiter on the 9th of December. And then next week, we start Mercury retrograde on the 13th. That will be in effect for just under 3 weeks. So need to be alert for some choppy market behavior here. But as long as the market doesn't break down strongly, I think overall it remains pretty constructive. I do want to jump over to interest rate markets and take a look at TNX, which is the yield on the 10-year treasury. So, we had a pretty big drop in interest rates. And this is something that we've been talking about with respect to long-term cycles, the likelihood of T-notes, bond prices having bottomed recently. And this forecast continues to, the outlook continues to improve. Now, a lot of, Venus and Pluto aspects this week, and that may have just corresponded to the breakdown here. But we also had some pretty strong job numbers come in. But now markets are expecting a rate cut as soon as March of 2024. So now that the Fed, it looks like, is going to be cutting rates, I think this is a big tailwind for bond markets. And, despite a lot of the central bankers saying higher for longer, I do think this is the new transitory inflation. They got that wrong, and I think they have this wrong too. So this is the beauty of cycles. Keep in mind that Pluto is going into Aquarius on the 21st of January as well. And so we're going to start to see that shift. Perhaps these lower interest rates do help the average individual, which is what Uranus or Aquarius represents, especially when it comes to housing and real estate, right? Because the real estate market's been frozen for much of this year, the last 18 months or so. But some relief on the interest rate front would be, I think, a boon for real estate activity in 2024. So we are bullish real estate. We've talked about, the home building sector. We covered this in the ETF report, and it just broke out to a new high for the year. So that is looking good as well. It seems like the market is pricing in some stronger real estate activity in the coming months, largely due to lower interest rates. I want to take a look at GLD, the gold spot ETF. So we had a capitulation move on Monday in the futures market that's not shown here in this ETF, but gold rallied to a new all-time high. It was slammed back down lower, but we're starting to find some stability here. As a rule, new all-time highs are bullish. However, silver did not even make a new high for the year. So we did have some intermarket bearish divergence there. And, also pointed out that we're falling into this, we were falling into this Jupiter signature, the opposition with Venus. And so, typically metals don't do all that well in that environment. But that's where those can form too. So we may have seen that form already. But overall, precious metals are still looking bullish overall. I do want to take a look at cryptocurrencies. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum have broke out to new highs for the year. So you can see Bitcoin has gone pretty much parabolic here. It is getting late in its 15-month cycle, so not the time or place to be chasing long positions. But I do want to go over to Ethereum because we had one of our studies with respect to Venus in Libra vindicated, very much so, because what we do when Venus goes into Libra or transits through Libra is we look for at least a 20% or greater move in the price of Ethereum. And you can see from the initial ingress here on the 8th of November to the ingress into Scorpio for Venus in that was on Monday the 4th, Ethereum moved over 20%, around 21 to 22%. So it did once again vindicate that study. Looks a little overbought in the short term, but I think overall the posturing remains bullish, and we should still see new highs in the coming months. Let's go ahead and take a look at USO. The crude oil ETF continues to collapse. This also is a tailwind for lower interest rates and higher bond prices, and a good sign for the consumer going into the holiday spending season. But it could also be a warning sign that the economy is starting to slow due to demand factors. So crude oil is approaching key technical support here in the coming weeks. We have Neptune changing directions today, an aspect to Jupiter. So don't be surprised if we see a temporary low in the next week or two, but overall, it still looks pretty bearish. And last but certainly not least, want to take a look at the euro, which continues to sell off, did complete another lower high within this reversal zone period. And, there's a lot of Venus aspects here, which rule currencies. So if this was another lower high with respect to the trend, it is bearish and does suggest that, the dollar could actually rebound here. So we will see how that corresponds to equity and bond markets, but that's all that I wanted to talk about this week. So thank you so much for watching. A reminder that the monthly cycles report will be published on Monday and Tuesday of next week. That is the MMA flagship report that has been in publication for over 40 years. So definitely check that out at www.mmacycles.com to get our updates on stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities. We also are in forecast season still as well. So make sure you pick up your copy of Forecast 2024 and stay tuned for MMTA 3 Year 2, which will be starting in January of 2024 for details. You can see it all at www.mmacycles.com. So that's all for now. We will see you same time, same place next week.